Okay, well, hello guys. Thank you for being here for a longer time. I didn't do broadcast here in YouTube, but well, today I'm gonna break down you an interesting topic. Sorry, so yes, well, I'm gonna break down with you an interesting topic about regularization, but it's not about that old program who it was completely famous for foreigners people, and this regularization is process that you need to do if you have an expired document. And however, it's interesting this topic because certain foreigners wonder in different group and Facebook group about, hey, I need help. What I need to renew my resident card. My resident card is almost expired. What I need to do? Between another kind of questions. Okay, in this broadcast, I'm gonna explain with you it. Yeah, I'm going to show my screen, this one, because this is the topic, regularization for temporary residency. Um, you know, maybe if you didn't know about it, and this news is for you, but any foreigner who they want to apply for temporary residency here in my country, the first step is they got 1 year in temporary residency. Any foreigners. Why? I don't know. In my case, I don't know to other for facilitators, but in my case, I have that opportunity to know someone who, in the first opportunity, they have 2 years or 3 years, like temporary. Yes, always, and INM, Instituto Nacional de Migración, and together to SRE, and Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores, or Mexican Consulate, because it's related to that. And any foreigner, they get 1 year in temporary residency. However, it's very common when any resident need to renew their temporary residency, exist certain doubts about what is my way that I need to follow for renew my temporary residency to 4 years or any years, because you have that choose, or you are free to choose what is your next renew, 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. Sorry, 3 years. But the point here is regularization. It's important for everyone because you need to understand something. No matter what, in what country you live or you have a residency, always you need to be in rule. You need to be legal in any country. In Mexico, it's the same. Here you want to, I don't know, open a bank account, or maybe you have get another alternative. Temporary residency is very useful for you. More because here you want to trip around my country without problems and without worries, because maybe on the way you find an immigration staff and they notice that you have an expired document, In those situations, it is a problem. But if you are legal, you have um, a good temporary residency, you are not expired, you don't need to be worried. Okay? But well, let's go to continue. Any um, all the regularizations or the renew is in this institute, not in Mexican consulate. I don't know why the people always confuse between this institute and Mexican consulate because I don't know why sometimes they need to ask their facilitator, hey, when my expired is almost coming, what I need to do, what institute I need to do my um, my renew about my temporary residency here in Mexico. Well, this is very obviously, but to be honest with you, I know or I saw those kinds of comments in Facebook groups who they are completely confused in what is the institute who they need to do the renew about their resident card. Okay, in all my older videos, I break down about this institute need to be your best friend for you because here you want to make a an address change or maybe your status change. You will you get married or maybe you get a job or maybe you need to become permanent. Okay, this institute is your friend. In certain state, they have another process that you need to request to this institute about a letter. For example, here in Yucatan, here you want to get your plate about your car or your license, um, SSP, Secretaría de Seguridad Pública in Spanish, and request foreigners, they need to go to INM and request an INM letter, a letter. Well, that letter is completely useful for those foreigners because they need to give that document in SSP. But well, to another kinds of process. Sorry, I miss him. I don't know why. Maybe I am my allergic. They change the weather, you know. But well, I'm here again. Well, return my last argument. Sometimes certain state request you a letter in this institute. Well, I told you in my older videos, this institute you need to become your best friend because any process you need to go there. If you are a residency, you need to go there, not to other institute about migration. Migration is in this institute. But well, when almost your resident card is expired, you almost show up in the deadline about your document. You need to become priority. You renew. Why? Because you are not the only person who have this process. A lot foreigners who they need to make canje, exchange about residency or another kinds of process become and crowd that institute. A lot people make process in Instituto Nacional de Migración. You are not alone. You need to prioritize your time. You need to take advantage in your time because I don't know if you know that, but you have certain time before expire your document and make this process. Yes, in renew your document. Well, the Mexican migration law allow for you renew your expired document before your document is expired. Okay, but well, I'm going to explain that in this presentation. But well, this is the point. Well, this is the beginner. You have 30 days, calendar days, in renew your resident card. Almost expired your resident card or your document, your immigration status here in my country, like a residency. You have 30, 30 calendar days. Yes, sorry, it's my noise, my nisim is uncomfortable, but well. But return in the topic, you have 30 calendar days before your document is expired in renew your document. You don't need to wait until your resident card is expired. I heard for any resident who they wait until finish or until the resident card be in the limit. They are expired. They have expired the document for 1 day, 2 days, but they mm, didn't know about they can renew the residency card before 3 calendar days. Because, for example, in the Mexican migration law, lawful you about this point. The holder of this card, the resident card to temporary residency, might, within 30 calendar days prior to its expiration, request the corresponding renewals up to a total of 4 years from the date they obtained the residency status. Do you notice that the Mexican migration law allow you renew your document 350 calendar days before your document is expired? Will expired, okay? But what happened? What is the path that you can renew your document? All depend how you come your residency because it's very famous for any foreigner got the residency by economic solvency. Okay, it's very famous for any foreigners got the residency in this path. Well, it's that way when you renew the document. Again, you need to prove economic solvency, but this is a worries for a lot foreigners because sometimes in the beginner they were able to prove economic solvency, but when they need to renew their resident card or the immigration status, continue be temporary residency, they don't have that alternative to renew their resident card because they are not able to prove economic solvency. Okay, you need to reach out your facilitator about that point. Okay, because it's important for you. I told you before, you have 30 calendar days before your document is expired. Take advantage in those 30 calendar days and reach out someone who make the better path that you can renew your temporary residency. Okay. Another alternative is about job offer. You can renew. You maybe got your residency, your temporary residency for job offer. Okay, you need to renew in that path. Here you have the economic for you. You keep that path, or maybe you purchase real estate here in my country, and those real estate and follow the average that you need to prove in INM, well, that your real estate have that opportunity to renew your resident card, or maybe for family relationship. Yes, they are the path, or they are the options that you can renew your residency. It's not only for economic solvency, but you need to know if you fall into those path, those ways, because maybe you are not able to renew for job offer, but maybe you are able to renew your temporary residency for family relationship. Yes, or maybe because you purchase certain real estate, or maybe you are a student in this point and you keep studying in the same university and well you is missing 1 year more, well, you can renew and your residency. Okay, you need to find what is your path, what is your option for renew your immigration status here in my country. But remember, avoid become illegal here in my country, because if not, it's a problem for you. Know about deportation, know about to other countries who they are very strict in their immigration work. Mexico is more flexible, but depend where you are. Okay. Give me a second. But what happened when you allowed expired your resident card? You forget renew your residency card. Yes, and you are expired right now. Maybe if you watch this video, maybe you are expired right now. But what is the solution? Okay, Luis, my document is expired. That means that I can renew my resident, my temporary residency. That means that I don't have alternative to go to INM and renew my document. What happens? What is my options? Okay, what are my options? If you have an expired document, you need to know you have 60 calendar days. Right now, you are expired. Okay, today until 60 calendar days, you have that alternative to renew your document. Okay, your temporary residency. But please avoid overpass those 60 calendar days, because if not, it's a problem. It's the biggest problem for you. But remember, you need to know what is your path for renew your residency. Okay, but you have 60 and 50 calendar days. In the micrositio, when in that website, official website, and for you can seek on Google micrositio INM, and you are able to find all the process or trámites in Spanish that you need to know what is those process that is very common in this institute. Okay, well, in that website, break down it. When the migratory status is regularized due to having an expired document, it must not have a period of time greater than 60 calendar days of expiration. Listen again, listen up. You have an greater than 60 calendar days of expiration. It's a greater days that renew your residence, renew your migratory status here in my country. In case of exceeding set period of time, the foreign person will not be able to regularize their migratory situation due to set absorption and must leave the territory national. Okay? If you don't follow this rule, you overpass 60 calendar days. Okay, this institute gives you an official statement that you need to leave from Mexico. You need to leave of my country. Or where appropriate, regularize the migratory status for any of the keys provide for in Article 132 and 133 of the Mexican migration law. Uh, sorry, sorry, it's my sneezing. Okay, oh, what did you say? Those articles 132 and 133. I'm going to show you and that Mexican migration law is in Spanish. Sorry for it, but well, I got to. I'm gonna help you in translate that point. Uh, Okay, the article 132 in the Ley de Migración, Mexican Migration Law, said los extranjeros tendrán derecho a solicitar. The foreigner have the right to request the regularization about their migratory status cuando se encuentren en alguno de los siguientes supuestos, when they fall into those suggestions. Yes, the first, que carezcan de la documentación necesaria para acreditar su situación migratoria regular, and they, I don't know, lack in documents who they prove their migratory status. Okay, the second fraction is when they have expired document, because in Spanish said que la documentación con la que se acredite su situación migratoria se encuentre vencida. Uh, I told you in English is when they have an expired document. Y the last is about que hayan dejado de satisfacer los requisitos en virtud de los cuales se les otorgó determinada condición de estancia. Okay, sorry for reading. It's my language. It's normal, but in the last fraction said when they didn't prove the same path, because I told you in the beginning, maybe you got your residency with economic solvency, but in the renew, you are not able to renew in that way because you can prove economic solvency. Okay, that is the article in the fraction 3, que haya dejado de satisfacer. You can fall into that request about economic solvency. Okay, in this point, I told you maybe you are not able to prove economic solvency again. You need to know the other path who I showed you before. Maybe family relationship, or maybe well, maybe that is the only option for you. If a family relationship, the only option for you. Okay, I'm going because in the article 133 say los extranjeros tendrán derecho a solicitar la regularización, and the foreigner have right a request the regularization. No, sorry, the treaty is this one. This article said, okay, you are not able to prove economic solvency on that path when you got your temporary residency. You are not able to fall in that category, but you have that intention in renew your temporary residency. Okay, because it's important for you. You have the basis or the base in regularize your situation here in Mexico. And this institute know it. You have the base to renew your your migratory status. Maybe not in economic solvency, who I told you the examples, but in this article breakdown. If you follow, if you fall into those suggestions, this institute they are obligated to fix your migratory status. Yes, because you fall into this suggestion about the first is accredited ser cónyuge. You prove that you have someone, a Mexican citizen who is your spouser, yes, the cónyuge, okay, because here say cónyuge, concubina, concubinario, yes, you can prove that you have a relationship with a Mexican citizenship, like a conjugate. I don't know how to say in English, but maybe you translate this word in English, you maybe understand the point. Conjugate, you prove conjugate, that option fix your migratory status. Okay? The second point is maybe you prove that you have and children. You having and children here. And throughout your stay here in my country for 1 year, maybe you know or you met, you encounter your spouse or any Mexican citizenship, and you having children with that Mexican citizenship. Okay, that kid support you in get your residency. Okay, another alternative is when you are in witnesses about crime, and that crime honestly affect you directly. And the number four is maybe is no if this institute return you at your country, they know this if they do that, and they know this that if you comes to country and maybe returning your country affect your life because maybe any people they want obtain in your life, and they notice that they notice it's not easy for them return you at your country because maybe when they return to your country you will debt for in your country. I hope you follow the idea, but maybe you suffer about your life when they return you in your country. Okay, and this institute notice that or know it, and they support you in renew your document. Okay, but you need to prove it, or they need to prove it. Well, the last is maybe you are kids, children or adolescents. Well, it's another um, procedure. Well, yes, I don't explain about it because it's more specific. It's another alternative. Yes, but look, and those are the alternative. Maybe you are not able to renew in your in your in the same category for economic solvency, but you can renew for family relationship. Okay. But what happened for those people who they are tourists? This is very common for expat. In expat groups, they always said, I am tourist, I'm overstayed my permit in being here in Mexico. What happened to me? What happened is the same than someone who is resident. I can go to the INM and renew my status and renew my days again or start start again because I am tourist. I am no resident. I have that alternative to go in Instituto Nacional de Migración because overstayed my time here in Mexico. What happened with me? The solution is the only alternative for you. If you want get residency here in my country, if you are tourist, You can obtain residency here in Mexico for economic solvency, for job offer. You can obtain your residency for those categories inside my country if you are tourist, okay? Because um, Mexican immigration law don't give you this permission to become residency without with those categories if you are tourist, okay? But the only option for you renew your migratory status like a tourist if about family relationship. For example, when you came to Mexico and INM give you 180 days for enjoy my country. In those and 6 months, and listen up, in those 6 months, you encounter the love. Yes, maybe you met someone and with that person create a relationship like a concubine, or maybe you get married with that person with that Mexican citizenship or resident who they are legal here in my country. That option allow you renew your migratory status inside my country. Yes, but you need to prove if you get married, you need to prove with the marriage certificate. Maybe in um, well, for is the only option for you, yes, and for relationship, for that up the path for get married because civil register here in my country give you a document, a marriage certificate. Depend on where you live because any state here in my country prove concubine about their regulation, okay? Because it's not the same in Yucatan than Guadalajara or Mexico City. In certain state, you need to prove 1 year about being concubine with another person, okay? However, it's more easy for you if you get married, and because civil register gives you a document. If that document you can bring that document in ANM and renew your migratory status. Yes, when you are tourist, not in children because maybe you need to wait more time and for proof that an alternative to renew and here inside my country maybe you need to leave and about my country and after when you leave and come again, okay? But here you want to renew your migratory status because you overstay, you permit like a tourist, family relationship is the option for you, okay? And that is the point, guys. Is very interesting for you. Is very, very important for you and understand the knowledge, understand the information and remember, I'm going to show you again those categories. But remember, depend your category, you are able to renew your expired document. You have 30 calendar days in renew. And before your document expired, you have 30 calendar days before your document expired. But if right now your document is expired for anything, you forget, or maybe, well, in more common, you forget, renew your document. Okay, you have 60 calendar days, that greater days, who renew your document in those categories, because in the beginner you get or you got your residency with economic solvency, but in the renew maybe is you renew you temporary by real estate, or maybe you renew your temporary by family relationship. Okay, but those depend about your circumstance. You need to reach out to someone about your circumstance. Yes, but this issue is completely normal in Facebook groups about expat people, about resident people who live here in Mexico, and they almost show up in will expire the documents. Okay, always they put comments in those Facebook groups about doubts in renew their document. Okay, well, guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for keep here with me, and I hope you understand me about this topic. It was important for me to give you this information because I told you always I know this question in Facebook group. Now, and yes, I forget something who is very important. Yeah. I am eager about this presentation. Yes, but what happened about the real life? Because Luis, you told me about the law, okay? The beautiful regulation here in Mexico. But what happened in the real life? Really, INM make their works about residents who they have expired documents. Really happen something in the real life? Because you know, Luis, in any regulation establish certain conditions, certain obligations. But you know, sometimes in the real life doesn't happen something like this. This is a very interesting point, but I'm going to show you one statistic. That statistic is by INM, Instituto Nacional de Migración, in a specific area who they any year make the words in a statistic. What happened in Mexico about migration? Okay, I'm going to show you my screen about that point. Look, it's the number 66. This is the word Unidad de Política Migratoria, Registro e Identidad de Personas. This is the famous, I don't know how to say in English, but it's a work for INM. Any year they need to make a statistic about what happened in Mexico about migration. Okay, this statistic is 2025. Any month they renew the statistic. Well, you are able to um, check out it in this website. Give me a second. I'm going to gonna. If you want to know more about statistic, migration statistic, I recommend you this website. Um, in the Gobierno de Mexico, this website is official website who you can find about migration statistic. They are, look, 22,002 in 2024, the last. But right now, I'm gonna show you the 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 version number in 2025. When I open and that or click in that link, appear this PDF who I showed you before. Is this one? Um, I'm going to share with you the link. You can click that link and check out all the statistics about migration statistic. Okay, the number it was this one. What say this statistic? For example, guys, the headline say eventos de personas en situación migratoria irregular en México, según continente y país de nacionalidad, 2025. People event in circumstance about irregular migratory status in Mexico, according continent and countries on nationality and nationality. Sorry. Again, people events in circumstance about irregular migratory status in Mexico, according continent and nationalities. Okay, 2025. Look at this. Um, this table show you the continents or nationalities, the month, for example, January, February, March, April. Okay, those 4 months. They are the subtopic who I'm going to explain with you. What do you mean those two keywords? For example, presentados. Presentados mean this is example. You are expired right now. The document is expired, but you didn't pay attention in that circumstance. But you trip in my country on the federal highway, and you trip. You you know this in a specific spot, police, marines, soldiers, and immigration staff. Yes, they stop you. Immigration staff notice that you are foreigner. Maybe you can prove that you are Mexican. They notice that you are foreigner. Immigration staff they have their faculty in request your document. Okay, you show your document and they notice that your document is expired. The first way is they need to bring you to migration station. Okay, Those immigration stations, um, the, the target is maintain people who they have irregular migratory status here in my country, and they need to fix that situation. Okay? However, presentados meant it. People who they have in immigration stations. Okay? Now, canalizados in immigration station, and INM proof or well, make a process with them about their migratory status. Maybe certain people were able to renew their migratory status and they become legal, or maybe they didn't improve any category about renew their migratory status, and INM deportate them, or maybe INM gave an assistant return them about from countries, or maybe this institute give them oficio de salida, document who in the where in that document request that you need to leave of my country in one day or maybe 2 days. Yes, in the second day you need to leave of Mexico. That is the mean canalizados. Now that you right now understand those words, I'm going to explain what happened. No matter what the nationality, apply for everybody. Look at this, America, north of the America. Canada in January they didn't have someone who they were presentados or canalizados in January. In February, they had three people, three Canadian, who they were presentados. Okay? In March, they in March only two people. In April, and they didn't have a Canadian. However, in those 4 months, present date, yes, present date, or presentados, in the status presentados, were 5 Canadian people. Okay, canalizado, nobody. In this case, is I told you, presentados. INM, or INM staff, brought Canadian people to migration station. Okay? Look about United States. In January, presentaron 31. February, 46. March, 75. 75. April is lower, 53. However, total, total about presentados were 205 U.S. citizenship who they were presentados in immigration station. Yes, because they were irregular. They they had um, expired documents. Maybe they didn't prove a normal document. Yes, because their documents were expired. I don't know, but they overestimate the Mexican immigration law. Maybe those people said, okay, in the law set those conditions, but maybe in the real life everything is possible. Yes, in Mexico it's not the same than other restricted countries. Okay, but this statistic explain you in Mexico happen in Mexico Instituto Nacional de Migración made their work. Yes, make the work in regulate the migration here in my country. Look at this. Of course, it's not the same than another continent. For example, in Central America, like in Belize, Costa Rica, Salvador, the people is more. But for example, Europe, in Europe, were more common for Albania, I don't know how to say in English, honestly. Russia and Lithuania, Italy, Ireland, France, three people. In February, uh, wait a second. The total, the subtotal from France people were presentados only 16 France people were presented. Um, about those 16, only three people were canalizados. Canalizados because um, they were able to renew their migratory status. That another category. They will have that alternative. Yes. But well, guys, this is interesting. For example, the Asia continent is interesting. China, look at this, China and India, so interesting. Oceania, Australia, only one. Well, the 12 presentados. Africa, look at the Senegal, and another shot. I don't know what is that country, honestly. Angola, so common. Guinea, mm, Mauritania. I don't know what is that country. And well, so interesting. For example, in Asia, Turkey, Yemen, this slower. Nepal, look at this. Very well. India is bunch the people. China, too. Bangladesh, Bangladesh. Okay, honestly, this statistic is interesting. I told you you can show or you can check out and that information in this bulletin mensual and month statistic about migratory 2025. Um, you can find this is the index. I don't know how to say in English. You can revise it. Um, well, maybe this headline will it will be interesting for you because said personas en situación migratoria irregular and people who they have or they were in irregular migratory status here in my country. Okay. Um, for example, this is look. The headline about this statistic is people event come back for this authority or the migratory authority according the continent and nationality. For example, in Morelos, only one U.S. citizenship. In Nuevo León, only 7. Oaxaca, 4. Puebla, 2. Sonora, 16. Tamaulipas, 8. And Veracruz. In total, the 69. Okay? Canadian is only 1. What do you mean? That honestly, mm, INM made their work in apply the Mexican immigration law. But well. Okay, guys. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much for maintaining in the end. And please um, put in the comments if you know about those conditions, about those categories to renew your temporary residency. If you know about that migratory statistic, because it's interesting, honestly. Here you want to know more, and I told you I shared the link in the comments about this interesting migratory statistic. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. See you in the next one. Bye bye.